Hi friends, welcome to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Katelyn and I like to film eyeshadow palette ranking and review videos, as well as the occasional other beauty content sprinkled in. So if you like indie makeup, if you like eyeshadow palettes, if you like me, I highly recommend that you hit that subscribe button because I post 2 videos every single week. And for those of you that are not new here, my face is happy that you are seeing it again. And I am filming this before work, and I cut bangs. I don't know if you guys have seen it on YouTube yet, but I've cut bangs, so I have this headband on so that the bangs are out of our way. But I am excited for today's video. So we, as you can see by the title, are going to be comparing the Alter Ego Mirage palette and the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. So the Alter Ego had reached out to me and offered to send me just some of their products. So they sent me the Mirage palette, which is their newest, as well as the Sakura palette, which is a dupe of the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. And then they also sent me their eyeshadow base. I did not use the eyeshadow base today because I want to test these 2 palettes out with an eyeshadow primer that I'm used to, but I'll definitely be trying out that eyeshadow base here soon. But yeah, we are gonna go ahead and get started. So of course I did not bring anything into the room with me to actually check the prices of these. I will put the price on the screen, but this is the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. It came out last year. It is, I want to say it's like $69, but it says the correct price on the screen. So here you go. And then this is the Mirage palette that I want to say it just launched this month, maybe last month, from Alter Ego, but here it is. So Alter Ego, if you're not familiar with them, they're kind of a dupe brand. I feel like I have their brushes and I really like those. And I don't think those are dupes. And then I don't think their eyeshadow base is a dupe, unless I'm wrong on that. Somebody correct me if you know. But most of their palettes, if not all of their palettes, I think all of their palettes are dupes of like higher end brands. Typically Natasha Denona. I think there's been a couple of Huda Beauties as well. And then I want to say there was like one Pat McGrath. But I feel like I've mostly what I've seen them do is Natasha Denona and Huda Beauty. Let me backtrack. I purchased from Alter Ego back in the day when I couldn't handle the idea of spending that kind of money on a Natasha Denona palette. So I had their Goddess palette, which was a dupe of the Natasha Denona Gold, and then I also had the Artemis palette, which was a dupe of the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. And I actually really liked both of those palettes. I ended up decluttering them at some point when I got away from like really liking neutral makeup. I felt like I didn't need them anymore, but now I'm like swinging back in. I feel like we all go through phases. I was like a colorful eyeshadow only person, and now I'm like, I like both, but I kind of like neutrals a little bit more right now. So anyways, yeah, that was it. I will put in swatch comparisons here. I haven't done them yet, so I can't speak to those, but I will be coming back at the end of the video to show how the looks wore over the day, and I think that will be after I do the swatch comparison, so I can kind of chat through my thoughts on that. But really what matters is how they hold up on the eyes. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one look on one eye, one look on the other eye, and then we're going to see how they wear over the day, how the application process went, if there was any differences, things like that. Oh, I didn't even talk about, this was the Mirage palette, and this is, I want to say like $24, something like that. So anyways, obviously if we're doing like a palette battle like I did, you know, previously, although this one's less exciting, I don't have all the fun edits and stuff that I did, but packaging is going to go to the Huda Beauty palette. That you get a little bit more luxurious packaging with this. It is like a plastic packaging. This is a very nice, I will say, cardboard, and I don't mind cardboard packaging. It's like a soft matte, so I do think that for like I don't think this is bad packaging. I just think this is slightly more dense and more luxurious, which I feel like matches that price tag. If we're going like design of the packaging, I like the design of this packaging better, just because this one's a little bit funky. But I know there was like something with the QR code that they did. I don't remember. But anyways, I like if this picture was on like plastic packaging, that would be my winner. But anyways, that's the breakdown of the packaging. Obviously the Alter Ego palette wins price wise. So now let's get into it. And in my other palette battles, I've just done palettes that have been similar but not the exact same. So I've also done color stories. We're obviously not going to compare color stories today because it's the exact same color story. Although I will say, I feel like I like how they laid this palette. Oops. I feel like I like how this palette is laid out better. It's a little bit more monochromatic in like the columns, sort of. I guess those golds kind of throw it off. But this is the, here, let's do this. And I'm flashing my lights at you. There we go. There's the comparison of the two palettes so you can kind of see which layout you like or dislike. I don't know. I'm mixing up the palettes right now so that you don't know for sure which eye we're doing which on. I will say this might be a little bit tricky to compare them because I have a good eye and a bad eye, but we are starting with a lighter shade, which in the Huda Beauty palette, I feel like I'm giving it away because I'm totally looking at which direction. Anyways, we're starting with this light clay shade. That's what it's called in the Mirage palette, and then in the Huda Beauty palette, it's called Power. And I'm not telling you which eye we're doing which until the end. I want to see legitimately as you watch if there's any differences. Also, I do have to go to work with this look, so if I have to finesse this to make them look as similar as possible, I will. So I haven't purchased Alter Ego in a long time since I started buying the like Natasha Denona and Huda Beauty palettes because everything they launched I always had already, so I was like, I don't need the exact same color story. But when they reached out and asked me, you know, if I wanted to like receive PR or have an affiliate code, you know, if I was interested, I said yes, because I do remember when I used them before, I really liked their quality. And I'm kind of like a little bit sad that I don't have the Artemis and the gold still because I did really like those palettes or gold, Artemis and the Goddess palette, because I really liked those palettes, and I don't think I intend to ever purchase those specific ones from Natasha Denona. And then they have one called the Sahara, which I think is like their dupe for Biba, and I've never had that palette from Natasha Denona either. So I'm kind of like interested in those. But okay, here's the first shade. They're pretty much the same. The only difference I noticed is that I packed a little bit more shadow onto this eye, but that was a me thing. Okay, so next we're going to take Arid from the Mirage palette and Get It from the Huda Beauty palette. And I will point to everything at the end if you want to actually see the palettes like in the pans, but I don't want to hold them up and then make it obvious like which side is which. Okay, so this is an Alter Ego #1 brush. It's a little dirty, but well, it's fine. So we have our first like kind of slight shade difference in the palette that I'm using right now. That second shade we used is a little bit more, it's a little bit deeper, a little bit more peachy leaning than like orange sherbet. So there's a slight, and by slight I mean very, very slight difference. But yeah, that one's like a little bit richer of a shade. For the sake of making this look even, I am going to bring some of that onto this other side. I feel like people will disagree with that because that might mess up our blending because we're bringing in another formula, but it's okay. So next we're taking Bush from the Mirage palette and Legacy from the Empowered palette. And I'm using a Singe EO2 brush. And if you're looking for more inspiration for either of these palettes, I will link the video that I did where I did a look with the Empowered palette. I'll link that down below because I did like a fun smoky eye with it. So yeah, I'll link that. Yeah, I feel like this shade is also slightly richer. Maybe when I blend it out it won't be. It just feels like a little bit more, I don't know. Rich is the only word I can think of. And not rich in like a money way, but like rich in like a pigmentation way. But yeah, but I mean they basically look the same. I'm not saying that it's like a huge difference, but you can kind of see we've got a little bit more depth happening over here. The shimmers might be a little bit tricky. Because one palette has definitely like flakier, slightly darker shimmers than the other one. So we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to take this ColourPop E3 brush. It is a flat eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to use Cleopatra from the Mirage palette and Bold Moves from the Empowered palette. And I did spray both shades with Fix Plus, so we're doing the same little boost to both sides. So next we're going to take Heat from the Mirage palette and Do It from the Empowered palette. So the shimmers actually look way more similar on the eye than they did in the swatches, so that's good because I was a little bit concerned, but I feel like both have similar amounts of texture and like they're the same color. I don't know that it's super noticeable that we have any differences. I want like the tiniest bit of more depth in the outer corner, so I think we're gonna go, it's Endless in the Mirage palette and Confident in the Empowered palette, and we're gonna use this Morphe M431 brush. Yeah, that's like perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. I did have to build the shimmer back up on this one just because when I was blending that shade, that darker shade, it kind of went away. Okay, so same thing over here. We lost a little bit of the shimmer shade, so I had to add it back in, but I feel like this side just looks like, again, just slightly richer, slightly deeper. So we're gonna pull a little bit over to the side. And in hindsight, I feel like I should have just gone for the different looks because I don't think they would have looked that different, but then you could have gotten a better picture of like end result. What was the difference between the two? But oh well. Okay, that feels similar enough. All right, so this part makes me nervous, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We're gonna use one of these gel shades in these palettes to do a liner. So the gel shade we're going to use in the Mirage palette is Crypt, and then in the Empowered palette is Worthy. And I am just using actually it's a brow fill brush from I think Sonia Kashuk, but whatever. That went on really easy, so that was nice. Just picking it up on the brush, the first one was creamier than this next one's going to be. Yeah, that is for sure creamier, easier to use. Okay, so that one was creamier. Also, you can tell it's a little bit deeper. Like it's that gel shade on the other eye is more pigmented than this one. So I think we're gonna go over it just a little bit. I don't want to layer too much of the gel because I feel like it'll transfer and get a little wonky, but I do want it to match. So now both sides have helped each other out officially. That's gonna be the look pretty much. I'm gonna do the same mattes on the lower lash line that I did up top, and I just feel like that's boring to show. And then the inner corner, I'll probably use my highlight because I don't think this color story has an inner corner shade that's like light enough for me personally. But yeah, I'll come back, show you the finished look, reveal which side was which, and share kind of like my application thoughts. Okay, here is the finished look. For the inner corner, I used my Timmerie Cosmetics Color Wash in Raylene. It's super pretty, but I applied that with my Carla Cosmetics Fix Potion, if you're curious, since that's a loose pigment. I did have some transfer happening on this eye. I always have my eyeliner transfer on this eye before it transfers on this side, just because this eye droops a little bit more, this eyelid. So I set the liner on both sides with powder, like with a powder shadow. So hopefully that helps us avoid further transfer. But anyways, yeah, this is a finished look. Before we say it, guess which side is which. We have this side and we have this side. And I know I've dipped back and forth to make things look even, but you remember that this is the side where the mattes weren't as pigmented, but the gel, like the gel shade, gel like liner shade, was more pigmented and more creamy. This side had the less pigmented, less creamy gel shadow, but had the more pigmented, like richer mattes. And then the shimmers were pretty much the same. So these felt creamier with like my finger, these felt drier with my finger, but they apply pretty much the same. Anyways, this side is the Mirage palette. Let's see, like that. And this side is the Empowered palette. Now, I purposefully did this because this is my worst, like worse of the two eyes. So I wanted to make sure that the Empowered palette was on that eye, just because I didn't want to give that one a leg up. So this did benefit from that. From like application thoughts, I feel like the mattes on this side definitely are richer, and there's just like there's like a depth and like nuance to them that I don't quite think is over here, but I also don't know, like, and this is why I said like maybe I should have just done the whole look and seen it. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference. It's like so subtle, but as I'm applying it, as somebody who has used and likes to use, you know, more luxury makeup items, like I can see that difference, if that makes sense. So anyway, so I do feel like that was different. The cream gel, whatever shadow it is, I wonder if because this palette is a year old and this one is brand new, if that's a difference. I don't remember how creamy these were when I first got it. So yeah, so I'm like, that one might be like a test of time type of thing. But yeah, I feel like the shimmers applied the same, even though these felt a lot creamier to the touch, they applied the exact same. I'm thinking when we swatch, these shimmers won't swatch as well because they're drier, but they apply the exact same to the eye. So I'm less concerned about that. But yeah, we'll see how these mattes wear throughout the day. We do have some of the Huda Beauty mattes over here, but for the most part, it was just to like, I added as little as possible just to make it so that the eye looks were more even, because I do have meetings all day and then I have dinner after work. So yeah, I decided to skip the lashes today because I have a long day and I don't want to wear lashes that whole time. But anyways, let me know if you could tell which side was which as we were applying, you know, what your thoughts were. And then at the end, we're going to see how everything wears, and then I'll tell you my thoughts on, you know, the two palettes overall. But yeah, okay, so it has been I think it's like 9:30, so it's been like, what is that, 14 hours of wear. So obviously both looks for 14 hours of wear look pretty good. Like, I wouldn't hate on it too much. There is creasing for the liner, like, or not creasing, but like transfer for the liner. This eye for sure had more creasing and fading on this particular shimmer, the darker of the two shimmers. There's some fading on this shimmer, but it's way worse over here, and it just kind of like bled all over the place. But like when my eyes are open, I don't think you can really tell. So as far as longevity goes, I don't really think there's a huge problem with either one. These shimmers are creamier, so I'm not surprised that we had a little bit more creasing and fading, just because they are a creamier formula. So yeah, so I didn't actually swatch before filming this part. So I'm sorry, I can't give my thoughts on that, but just talking about performance, I think the way I want to explain this the best is this palette is like, I don't want to say it's like luxury, because it's not like Dior or Prada. It's like more of like a mid-range luxury palette, I guess I would say. And I feel like you're paying for a few things with this price tag. You're paying for the packaging. You're paying for the like nuance, I guess, to the mattes. I mean, this is made in Italy, right? Yeah, made in Italy. And this one's made in the PRC. So you're paying because this is more expensive packaging, made in Italy. The mattes have, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like a quality to them that just makes them look like just slightly more like rich in tone and depth to them. And then the creamier shimmer formula, which I think a lot of people prefer a creamier shimmer formula. If you have like really oily lids that crease a lot like me, honestly, a creamier formula is not the best for that, as we can see with how this one performed. But anyways, I think that's what you're paying for, in addition to, of course, the brand name, the Huda Beauty, like brand recognition. Like, that's what you're paying for with this. If those are things that make this worth it to you, there you go. If you don't necessarily care about those things, I don't think you can go wrong with this. I thought the quality of this was really, really nice. Like I said, there's just like something slightly more special about the mattes in this palette, but it's not like a significant difference, and I would leave it up to you to decide if that difference is worth the like 40, however much it is. I'll put the difference on the screen. But yeah, I think this is really nice. I think if you liked this color story but didn't want to shell out the money for that on the Huda palette, here it is. I think it's a good one. Or this particular one is good. I do really enjoy this color story. I think it's really pretty. It goes like more warm and orange than you kind of expect when you look at it. But it's really nice. So I like it a lot. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you have either of these palettes, what you think. Let me know if there's anything else, like, you know, if you like Alter Ego and you want to see more from them, definitely let me know. I could be enticed or convinced to purchase some of those other palettes that maybe I don't have the duplicate version of. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And with that, I will see you all next time. Bye!